And as the court well knows, the idea of using something that is modified from its original form and to present it to Mr. Aspinwall in this form, particularly where it's not an item that is a Glock, and so he could not himself probably identify all that, is misleading.
Well, Your Honor, there's nothing misleading about it. It's not a Glock. It's not, it's not a real firearm. The only modification, this particular replica had a bright orange tip, and the bright orange tip was painted black to eliminate the bright orange tip. Surely Mr. Aspinwall is going to be able to know the difference between a real gun and this. So there's nothing misleading about it, Your Honor.
Whether he can identify what kind of gun it is, what its replica is, you won't know until you show it to him. I assume it will be clear if he doesn't realize it's not a real gun or whatever, as long as it's clear to the jury it's a replica. And whether he can figure out what it's a replica of is up to him.
No, I'm not going to expect him to be able to identify the particular version, Your Honor.
Right, but to the extent it's not a Glock, and he's never seen a gun that looks like that.
That's what he said yesterday.
Right, no, but I'm saying if he says he's never seen a gun that looks like that, or he's not familiar with it, that's the end unless you put on a witness.
I agree, Your Honor.
So to the extent there's an objection at this point to it being used as a chalk, that objection is overruled. I do have... with respect to the, it appears to be a gun, it seems to the court that when someone is expressing an opinion, that is sort of one and the same, and that by definition, when someone is looking at a photograph and saying, in my opinion, it is X, is the same as this thing appears to me to be X. Obviously, they don't have the object in front of them. They just have a photograph. The court, if you wish, would instruct the jury at this time the substance of the wording of the SJC instruction on expert witnesses that it gives in the charge. At the end, to the effect that we allow certain people with specialized training and experience to testify, and because someone has that, doesn't mean the jury has to accept it. And also that any testimony by a witness of what object he may see in a photograph or video is in effect an opinion by that witness of how that object appears to him. I can give simply that shorter statement or that statement and the full expert instruction that would to apply to this and others. Do either of you want me to do that at this time?
We're just going to look at the expert. You're talking about the
one that
standard expert instruction.
The standard one that the term refers to witnesses with specialized training or experience, that in a variety of cases issues arise that are beyond the experience of lay people. We allow persons with specialized training or experience called an expert to testify, not only to facts but to opinions and the reason for them, because a particular witness has that kind of training, doesn't put them on a higher level as with any other witness. It's completely up to you to decide the opinions and whether you accept the facts, and you're free to reject it in whole or in part if you determine it's not based on sufficient education or experience. And you must firmly keep in mind that expert witnesses don't decide cases, juries do. It's like any other witness. It's there was a case that came down a few years ago that sort of restated a model expert instruction that's given, that I would normally give in the child.
Your Honor, I do think it would be appropriate for the court to give an instruction along the lines that you suggested, that basically, this is his opinion, and they can...
If you want me to give the full...
Well, what I don't want, Your Honor, is, since ultimately it's obviously for the jury to determine whether or not he's an expert,
right,
and whether or not he has, requisite training and experience to opine about anything, I don't want the court, through its instruction, to somehow suggest an answer to either of those two, I think, extremely open questions.
Instruction at this time.
Yes, sir.
Just that any testimony of what someone is seeing, any opinion of what they're seeing, is in effect opinion as to how that object appears to him.
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No objection.
Thank you. We can bring the juries down. Or when you first...
The outset would be fine, Your Honor, before we really do the cross.
He, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable, the Justice E. Susan Gosh of the Superior Court, now sitting at Fall River within and for the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now in session. Be seated, please.
Today is March 12, 2013. Returning to Commonwealth versus Aaron Hernandez, indictment 2013-983. The Honorable Susan Garsh presiding.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Have any of you seen or heard or read or overheard anything at all about this case or Mr. Hernandez since I last inquired? There are no affirmative responses. Have any of you discussed this case in any way, shape, or form or Mr. Hernandez since I last inquired? There are no affirmative responses. And have any of you had any difficulty following my instructions not to talk about or otherwise communicate about or look at or listen to or do any research about this case or Mr. Hernandez? There are no affirmative instructions. There are no affirmative responses. At this time, the witness may resume the stand.
Just remind you that you're still in the room.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before the cross-examination resumes, let me instruct you that any testimony by a witness of an object that he believes he sees in a photograph or a video is in effect an opinion by that witness of how that object appears to him. It is completely up to you to decide whether you accept the testimony of this witness as with any other a witness, and it's completely up to you to decide whether you accept any opinions that the witness may have given to you, and you're free to accept and you're free to reject the testimony and opinions of this witness, and you're free to reject and accept the testimony of any witness who testifies in this case.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. You've been employed in the firearms industry for less than 2 years, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you are a district sales manager for Glock, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's the only job in the firearms industry you've ever had?
No.
Well, tell us what other jobs in the firearms industry you've had, sir.
Several years ago, when I was much younger, I was actually employed in a retail firearms establishment in New Hampshire.
Okay. So, and when was that, sir?
Would have been in the early 1990s.
Okay. So in the early 1990s, you worked in a gun store?
Yes, sir.
How long was that?
Off and on, a period of 18 months.
Okay. So am I, and by the way, that doesn't appear anywhere on your resume, does it?
No.
Okay. So am I correct that the only experience you've had in the firearms industry was off and on for 18 months working in a gun store 20 or more years ago, and less than 2 years as a district sales manager for Glock?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you told us yesterday that you used to be a police officer, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you're currently a deputy sheriff in Hillsborough County, New Hampshire, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't mention that yesterday, did you?
No.
And earlier in your police career, you worked as a police officer in Amherst, New Hampshire, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were a uniformed officer, right?
Correct.
Okay. You were not a detective.
I was not a detective.
You didn't work in ballistics, right?
No.
Okay. And then after that, you became a New Hampshire state trooper, right?
Yes.
Okay. And while you were a New Hampshire state trooper, you were assigned to the motor carrier unit, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were responsible for enforcing motor vehicle regulations and motor vehicle laws, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't in ballistics, were you?
I was a troop armor and a firearms instructor for the New Hampshire State Police.
Well, you were not in the ballistics section of the New Hampshire State Police, were you?
No, I was not assigned to the crime lab.
Okay. You're not a ballistician, are you, sir?
Absolutely not.
And then you became the chief of police, you told us, in Mount Vernon, New Hampshire, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how many full-time officers did you have in your department when you were chief?
I think if everybody was present and accounted for, 6.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 3 full-time, 3 part-time. So 3 and 3.
All right. So your department had 3 full-time officers, 3 part-time officers, and you as the chief?
No, that 3 full-time would include me. I was what's known in New Hampshire as a working chief.
A working chief. Okay. So in addition to yourself, there were 2 other full-time officers in your department, right?
Yes.
And there were 3 part-time officers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, am I correct, sir, that you were contacted by Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Bates last year about this case?
I was contacted by the Massachusetts State Police at some point last year. I don't recall the name specifically of the trooper that I initially spoke to.
Okay, but it was a Massachusetts State Trooper who contacted you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he asked you to help out the prosecution team in this case, right?
He asked me some questions regarding...
All right. Well, I don't want to get into the specific conversation, but in general, was he asking for your assistance in connection with the prosecution of my client, Aaron Hernandez?
Well, in the first instance, I wasn't advised of...
Okay, so you didn't know that right off the bat?
Right. I didn't know what the questions related to.
Okay, but at some point, you learned that you were being asked to assist the prosecution in the case against Aaron Hernandez, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you've worked with the Massachusetts State Police many times, right?
I've received training from the Massachusetts State Police several years ago, but in the duties that I was assigned with in the New Hampshire State Police, I did not interact with the Massachusetts State Police on any regular basis.
Okay. So are you telling this jury that you have no relation, that until you were contacted? Mr. Bomberg, do you want to say something?
I object. He's explained the answer. It's...
Mr. Aspinwall, are you telling the jury that prior to your being contacted by a Massachusetts State Trooper last year regarding this case, that you've had no dealings with the Massachusetts State Police in the course of your career?
I object. Your Honor, he's...
In the course of my career, I have had limited dealings with the Massachusetts State Police, yes.
More than once, right?
Yes,
More than twice, right?
perhaps.
Well, you wanted to help, didn't you?
Yes.
And since you agreed to help, you've spoken with police and the prosecutors on the prosecution team multiple times, haven't
Yes.
you?
Yes, I have.
And you've met with them multiple times, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What was your most recent meeting with members of the prosecution team?
Would have been Monday afternoon of this week.
Okay. So today is, sorry, I'm losing track, Thursday. All right. So you met with them Monday afternoon.
Yes.
Okay. And what was your most recent meeting with members of the prosecution team before Monday?
I frankly don't recall.
Well, was it sometime this month, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you came to understand, did you not, that the prosecution's theory in this case was that the weapon used in this shooting was a Glock 45, right?
Yes.
They told you that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And they showed you some grainy video clips and still photos, right?
Yes.
And you knew, did you not, sir, that the prosecution team wanted you to say that, in your opinion, the object in Aaron Hernandez's hand and all those grainy video clips was a handgun and that it was a Glock, right?
Well, I think they wanted me to render an opinion as to whether or not I thought it was a Glock handgun.
But you knew the opinion that they were hoping you would give them. Isn't that right, sir?
Yeah, yes, I believe that they were hoping that I could render that opinion, yes.
And you knew, did you not, that such an opinion would be helpful to the prosecution's objective, right?
I believe so.
Right.
To say that I knew it, no, but my belief is that, yes, that would be helpful to the prosecution.
Well, somewhere in your mind, did you realize, did it occur to you that it would help the prosecution try to convict Aaron Hernandez if you testified that, in your opinion, what was in his hand was a handgun and was a Glock?
Yes.
All right. Now, the opinions that you offered us yesterday, those are based on your specialized training and experience, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Now, sir, you are by no means an expert in weapons identification, are you?
I don't consider myself an expert, no.
Sir, you have no specialized training in making identifications of objects from grainy video clips, do you?
No.
You don't have any supernatural powers of vision, do you? You didn't follow any standardized protocols in making your identifications, did you?
I'm not aware of any standardized protocols, sir.
You don't belong to any professional organizations relating to making identifications of weapons, do you?
No, I do not.
You didn't testify before the grand jury in this case, did you?
No.
You didn't write a report, did you?
No.
When did you first look at these grainy videos and still photographs, sir?
I don't recall specifically. It was some months ago.
Well, do you recall that they were emailed to you in December of 2014?
Yes, they were emailed to me.
On December 18th, 2014, do you recall that?
Again, I don't recall the specific date. I said it was some months ago.
Showing the document, sir. Just please take a look at that document. Read it to yourself, and just ask you if that refreshes your recollection that you were emailed these grainy videos and still photographs on December 18th, 2014.
Yes.
So after you got these emailed to you, tell us what you did.
Looked at the videos.
Okay. How many times did you look at them?
Multiple times. I don't recall a specific number.
Okay. Did you take any notes as
No.
you were looking at them?
No.
Did you make any transparencies for comparison purposes?
No.
Did you use a comparison microscope or any kind of specialized equipment?
No.
Did you make any measurements at all about what was depicted on these grainy video clips?
No.
Did anybody else help you do this?
Do the things I just said I didn't do?
Did anyone else help you look at the video?
No.
Anyone else verify your opinion?
Not to my knowledge.
So you looked at these grainy videos a bunch of times, right?
Yes.
You eyeballed them, right?
Correct.
Trying to see a Glock video, a Glock handgun in those grainy videos, right?
Right.
Because that's what the prosecution team wanted you to see, right?
That's what they asked me to do.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of confirmation bias, sir?
No.
Okay. Well, would you agree with me that, especially when confronted with ambiguous or incomplete information, people tend to see what they hope or want to see?
That is perhaps possible, yes.
Now, do you remember what you told the prosecution team after looking at these grainy videos in December?
Yes.
Okay. You told them, did you not, quote, based on the curve of the backstrap, it appears to be a Glock pistol. Is that what you told them?
That sounds right, yes.
You didn't tell them you were certain, did you?
No.
You didn't tell them it is a Glock pistol, did you?
No.
You used the word appears, didn't you?
Yes.
And you stated that based on the curve of the backstrap, right?
Yes.
And after you told them that, back in December, they spent some more time with you, didn't they, sir?
Yes.
And tell us, please, how many times did you come down here? You live in New Hampshire, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you come down from New Hampshire to Fall River to meet with members of the prosecution team in January?
I believe it was 3 times in total. Might have only been 2. I'd have to look.
Did you meet with them in February?
I don't recall. I've been here multiple times to meet with the prosecution. The exact number and times, I don't know.
More than a couple, right?
It was at least 2. I think I recall 3 in total, exclusive of this week.
Since December, right?
Yes.
So they met with you, right?
Yes.
They talked to you, right?
Yes.
They worked with you, right?
Yes.
And lo and behold, your opinion got better and better for the prosecution team, didn't it, sir?
Yes, because the quality of the video...
Just answer my question, yes or no.
No, it's not. It's not a yes or no question, sir.
Did your opinion get better for the prosecution, sir? Yes or no?
My opinion changed.
Okay, thank you. Now, you never put your changed opinion in writing, did you, sir?
I was never asked to.
Well, you never did you?
I was never asked to.
They never asked you to put your changed opinion in writing, right?
No, they did not.
So it wasn't your decision not to put it in writing, right?
Had I been asked to put it in writing, I would have put it in writing.
Right,
However, I was
but-
not asked.
The prosecution team didn't ask you to put it in writing, right?
Correct.
Okay. So since it was never put in writing, we all got to be surprised with your changed opinion yesterday when you took the stand and testified. Isn't that true, sir? Well, you never stated that opinion in any courtroom before, did you?
In any courtroom before?
Yes, sir.
No.
You never stated that opinion to me before, did you?
Again, I wasn't asked.
You never stated that opinion to any member of the defense team before, did you?
Again, you didn't ask.
You never wrote it down, right?
Again, I wasn't asked.
Well, when you were a police officer for all those years, did you write reports, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And you wrote reports to document information that seemed important, right?
Yes.
Well, you know this is a first-degree murder case, right?
Yes, sir.
You know Aaron Hernandez, my client, is charged with first-degree murder, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you just told us a couple of minutes ago that you changed your opinion between December and yesterday, right?
Yes.
Didn't that seem important enough to you, sir, to write down?
No. Again, I was not asked. I did not write it down.
Do you recall, sir, yesterday I asked you if you were familiar with fake guns that are manufactured to look like Glocks? Remember that question?
Yes.
Okay. And is it still your testimony, sir, that you know nothing about any such products?
I am aware that they exist.
So today you're telling us that you are aware that there are fake guns manufactured to look like Glocks, correct?
No.
You don't know that today, or you do know it today?
Yesterday, you asked me if I was aware of any airsoft weapons or things of that nature that were for sale that resembled Glocks, and I responded to you that we protect our intellectual property and there are no licensed copies of a Glock handgun that is a replica for sale in the United States. That does not mean they don't exist elsewhere in the world. And there are some that exist elsewhere in the world that I am aware of. I've never seen one for sale here in the United States. I've never had one in my hand.
Have you completed your answer, sir?
Yes.
Did I ask you about licensed copies yesterday?
I don't recall.
Was there something confusing about the question I asked you on this subject yesterday, sir?
Not particularly.
So as somebody who works in sales for Glock, you are well aware that there are airsoft pellet guns in the market, right?
I'm aware that there are airsoft pellet guns for sale on the market. That has nothing to do with my employment.
Sir, I didn't ask you if it has anything to do with your employment. You don't sell airsoft pellet guns, do you?
No.
Right. But you know that they exist, right?
Yes.
Okay. And some of them are made to look like Glocks, aren't they?
Not the ones that I've seen for sale commercially here in the United States.
Okay. Well, have you heard anything about Glock's war on replicas, sir?
My understanding,
Yes or no?
specifically Glock's war on replicas?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Well, you told us yesterday that Glock protects its uniqueness, right?
Yes.
Well, one of the ways that Glock protects its uniqueness is by aggressively suing companies that make Glock knockoffs, right?
Yes.
And as someone who works for Glock, I mean, you're familiar, are you not, with the lawsuit that Glock brought in federal court in Georgia last year against the biggest manufacturer of airsoft pellet guns in the United States, aren't you?
No.
Do you go to company meetings, sir?
Yes.
Do you read trade literature?
Yes.
You don't recall anything about this lawsuit?
No, I know nothing about it.
I object to the request to place a document in front of the witness.
I want to see if this refreshes his recollection.
He hasn't said he has no recollection, he said he had no knowledge.
Let me show it, see if he now has any knowledge he didn't do before.
Show your document, sir. Does that refresh your recollection without ever hearing anything about such a lawsuit?
I object. I object to the question.
No, I don't know anything about this lawsuit.
Well, do you know that Glock has alleged that these airsoft manufacturers are engaged in the sale of look-alike firearms?
I object.
Well, putting aside this lawsuit, sir, are you aware, you told us a couple of minutes ago that you're aware that Glock protects its uniqueness by suing companies that make knockoffs. Isn't that what you testified to 3 minutes ago, sir?
I object, that's
Overall-
not what he said. He said...
Overall,
Again, we vigorously protect our intellectual property.
Right, and as you told us 3 minutes ago, sir, one of the ways in which Glock vigorously protects its intellectual property is by suing companies that are making Glock knockoffs, right?
They may do that, yes.
Well, you told us a couple of minutes ago that they do that, right?
Well, I can't say in every instance that they file lawsuits. In some instances, they don't find it necessary to sue. One of the things they do is they will, on occasion, sue a manufacturer of a replica firearm. Do they do that in every instance? I don't know.
Well, sir, did I ask you about every instance?
No.
Okay. So just to be clear, sir, you're now telling us that you are aware that Glock files suit in some cases against manufacturers of Glock knockoffs, right?
Again, sir, they use the legal system to vigorously defend their intellectual property.
I'm going to ask you to listen to the question. Just answer the question that was asked. Not any other question. If you don't understand it, you can indicate.
Thank you, Your Honor. My question, sir, is whether you now acknowledge that Glock vigorously protects its intellectual property and uses the legal system by suing companies that manufacture and sell Glock knockoffs.
Yes.
Thank you. In fact, are you aware that there are dozens and dozens of such soft pellet gun Glock knockoffs available for sale in Walmart, on the internet, and all over the United States of America, sir?
No.
You don't know about that?
No. Again, as I stated earlier, I've never seen a replica Glock pistol for sale on a retail basis in my experience in the United States.
Okay. Well, Your Honor, I asked for these photographs of mark identification.
Well, I don't know what the purposes of doing that. He hasn't shown them to the witness.
I'll show them to the witness first. That's fine. Let me show you a photograph, sir. Have you ever seen anything that looked like that?
Have I ever seen anything that looks like it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And would you agree with me that that is a photograph of a Glock knockoff that's pellet gun that's for sale in the market?
No.
Okay, well, what would you say that is, sir?
It's a picture of a gun that resembles a Glock 19. There's nothing on this piece of paper that says it's a pellet gun or that it's for sale or anything.
Okay, let's try another one. I'll show you these two pieces of paper. would you agree with me, sir, that that is a photograph and the explanatory material that goes with the photograph of a soft pellet gun available for sale for under $20?
It's apparently a soft pellet gun that's available for sale for under $20, yes.
Okay. And made to resemble a Glock, isn't it?
Well, it's got some features on it that are dissimilar from a Glock pistol that are readily apparent.
Well, that wasn't my question, sir. I didn't ask you that. I asked you if it's made to resemble a Glock.
I object. Your Honor, if I could.
The objection is sustained.
Well, does it resemble a Glock?
Vaguely, but there are some distinct differences that it does not resemble a Glock.
Well, do you know whether this is one of the guns that Glock has complained about in its filing suit to vigorously protect its intellectual property?
I have no idea.
Would you agree with me that there are some features that resemble a Glock?
Yes.
I'd ask this be marked for identification to you, Mr. Charles.
No objection.
To be marked for identification.
Okay, Kirby.
Putting page 1 of KK for ID on screen. Can you see that, sir?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And does this indicate that this particular airsoft pistol, you know that airsoft pistols shoot soft pellets, right?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. And it indicates it's out of stock, right? On the right there? Out of stock?
Yeah.
All right. But other than the fact that it's out of stock, what's the price of this particular item?
Looks like it says it's $11.95.
Okay. And this is available from a company called what?
Hobbytron?
Okay. And would you agree with me that that is an American company?
I have no idea.
Okay. And we show you page 2 of the same exhibit, KK for identification.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, it's the same item, right?
As from the prior page?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. And tell members of the jury, please, what are the features or characteristics of this pellet gun that resemble a Glock?
Principally, from where I can see, it looks like the trigger guard area is similar. The area where the slide lock levers and the slide stop levers are similar, and the grip frame itself is similar but not the same.
Okay. What about the back strap area?
Similar, although the texturing on the back strap is different.
But what about the curve of the back strap?
Similar.
Show you another item. 2 pages. Can you tell us, that appears to be an airsoft pellet gun that in some ways resembles a Glock.
Yes, it appears to resemble actually a Generation 4 Glock pistol.
Okay. And what's, I'll ask to have this marked identification used as well.
Any objection?
No objection.
May be marked for identification.
LL.
I'm showing you first page of the marked LL for identification. Does this indicate that this is a soft pellet pistol manufactured by Airsoft?
Yes.
Okay. And this one costs $99.99, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's a lot less than a Glock, right?
Yes.
Okay. And show you the other page, the second page of LL for identification. Back up a little bit. Okay. That's the same soft pellet gun, right?
As the previous page, yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. And could you tell the members of the jury, please, what are the features of this soft pellet gun that resemble a Glock?
Again, front strap, back strap, rear portion of the slide are very similar to a Gen 4 Glock, as well as the magazine catch, slide stop lever, and slide lock lever.
And do you know whether Airsoft is an American company with its home in Seattle, Washington, sir?
I don't.
Have you ever heard of that company before, Airsoft?
Yes, it's,
Okay. Are you aware that that is a major manufacturer of soft pellet guns, sir?
yes.
And in addition to the couple I've just asked you about, are you aware that there are other manufacturers, many other manufacturers, of soft pellet guns that are made to resemble Glocks?
No.
Well, are you aware of a company named Rock Island Armory?
They are a importer and manufacturer of firearms, yes.
Okay. You aware of a company named LWD?
LWD, no, I am not.
Aware of a company named Stark Arms?
Stark Arms is a firearms equipment manufacturer located in New Hampshire.
Heard of a company named ZM?
ZM Weapons, they used to be located in Florence, Massachusetts. I don't know if they're still there.
Have you heard of a company named CCF?
CCF Race Frames, they make a aftermarket frame, which is essentially a firearm for a Glock pistol.
Okay. And when you say aftermarket, tell us what you mean by aftermarket, sir.
Something other than designed, manufactured, and sold by the company. So
And is that fairly common in the firearms world?
it's very common.
Okay.
Very, very common.
All right. Well, so is that a means by which somebody can sort of customize a firearm that they've purchased
Yes.
from the factory?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So, for example, with respect to a magazine, there are aftermarket magazines, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, if I buy a Glock from the factory, it's going to come with a magazine, right?
Correct.
Okay. But if I want a magazine that contains or that will hold more cartridges than the one the factory gave me, I can go out and try to find an aftermarket magazine that I can use with my Glock, right?
An aftermarket magazine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you could find an aftermarket magazine.
Okay. And if the aftermarket magazine that I buy that holds more cartridges in it, it's going to be longer than the one the factory provided, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Well, how could it contain more cartridges if it's not longer, sir?
Well, for instance, as I mentioned yesterday, if we were selling the pistol in, say, for instance, Massachusetts, Connecticut, or New York, we'd ship the pistol, using the example of the Glock 21, we'd ship the pistol with a magazine that held only 10 rounds to comply with those state laws. However, the overall size of the magazine would be exactly the same as the magazine that we would ship with the gun, say if it was going to Maine, New Hampshire, or Vermont, which would hold 13 rounds. So they'd be exactly the same size, only one would hold 10 rounds and one would hold 13. And as a resident of Massachusetts, if you wanted to find a 13-round mag, you'd have to find one that was manufactured prior to 1998, and that would be legal for you to own.
What if I wanted 18 rounds to fit in my Glock?
It depends, which model?
Well, let's take a Model 40.
Glock model 40?
41.
Okay, because the 40 is not out yet.
Okay.
The
41.
41, you may be able to get an 18-round magazine for the 45. Okay. I'm not aware of any.
Would you agree with me that an aftermarket magazine that contains, for example, 18 projectiles or 18 cartridges is going to be longer than the one from the factory?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay. And if it's longer than the one from the factory, it's going to extend further down on the gun, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, if I can find you a photograph. Is that an example of a magazine that extends further down than the one provided by the factory?
Not necessarily.
Well, would you agree with me that there's a piece of the magazine that's sticking out at the bottom?
Yes, but what you have here in this photograph is you have one of the smaller framed pistols with a magazine from one of the larger framed pistols in it, and then whoever's made this up has put on a grip adapter to fill that space.
Okay.
So again, this could very well likely be a standard capacity magazine that you've actually put in this photo in a smaller pistol.
Okay. So this is, so am I correct that this would be an example of a smaller size pistol that's modified after it comes from the factory, and now it resembles a larger size pistol?
No, it doesn't resemble a larger size pistol. It's a smaller frame pistol with a larger magazine in it,
Okay.
with a grip adapter.
Okay. But if you were just looking at this part of it, back part of it, sure you can't see it yet, but would you agree with me that it looks from the back like a larger size pistol?
I object, Your Honor.
Overall,
No, because that grip adapter changes the configuration of the backstrap. It doesn't look like a larger frame pistol to me. It looks like a smaller pistol with an extended magazine or a standard capacity magazine from another firearm and a grip adapter.
Now, you just used the term extended magazine, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yesterday, you told us that that term didn't really have a meaning, right?
No, I said it's somewhat nebulous.
What does it mean to you when you used it, sir?
Well, for instance, with the Glock pistol and the standard frame guns chambered in 40 and 9mm, in the 9mm we make a 33-round extended magazine, and in the 40 we make a 22-round extended magazine for law enforcement and military purposes. And standard capacity on, say, the G22 is going to be 15 rounds, and on the G17 it's going to be 17 rounds. So in each instance, the 33 and the 22 round magazines are definitely extended magazines, and they're over a foot long.
Okay. So, using your examples, we can all agree that an extended magazine is a magazine that extends down past the bottom of the grip and contains more, or holds more cartridges than the version that comes from the factory, right?
I object. That's not what he said.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about those videos that were shown yesterday in court, okay? Now, am I correct that you don't know whether the object in all of those grainy videos is the same object, do you?
In all of the videos, if it's the same object?
Yes, sir.
No, because in some of the videos, it's too indistinguishable.
In fact, sir, isn't it the case that you don't know whether the object in any of those grainy videos is a real working firearm that shoots real bullets, do you?
No, I would not be able to conclude that from those pictures, that it was a functioning firearm, no.
Now, if it is a real gun, sir, would you agree with me that Mr. Hernandez is holding it by the muzzle, like this, right?
Yes.
Now, this is the business end, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you would never hold a real gun like this, would you?
Would I?
Yes, sir.
No.
Because you could blow your hand off, right?
No, not necessarily.
Well, why wouldn't you hold a real gun like this, sir?
It's just not a proper way to hold a firearm. Obviously, you've got it, pointed at yourself, which is something you never want to do. You never want to point a firearm at yourself or anyone else. It's just not how the firearm was designed to be held.
Well, whatever Mr. Hernandez was holding on those grainy videos, you demonstrated yesterday to the jury this is how he was holding it, right?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I could, Mr. Sullivan is holding an item in his hand which has not been identified, which is not an exhibit at all in this, and
I
he's
object to
asking
this, Your Honor.
questions, he's asking questions of the witness.
He may continue. May mark it fragment.
Thank you.
And I'd like to see counsel.
Would you agree with me, sir, that aside from the fact that it's not the proper way to hold a gun, that it's dangerous to hold a gun like this?
Yes, in the event of a negligent discharge, you could certainly injure yourself severely.
But it wouldn't be dangerous to hold a fake gun like this, would it?
No.
Now, you told us a couple of minutes ago that you could not say whether the object in those grainy videos is a working firearm, right?
Correct. There's no way to tell if it functions or not.
Okay. And by the way, you can't identify the caliber of the gun which, in your opinion, Mr. Hernandez was holding, can you?
No, not from those pictures. You can't identify a caliber.
Glock makes 9mm pistols?
Yes.
10mm pistols?
Yes.
357s?
Yes.
40mm pistols?
No, that'd be really big. 40 millimeters, an artillery round.
Be what?
An artillery round.
Okay, well, other than 9, 10s, and 357s, are there other semi-automatic pistols that Glock manufactures besides 45s?
Well, we make the 45 gap, the 357 SIG, the 9mm, the 380.
The 380. Okay, what kind of ammunition does the 380 fire?
It's a center fire cartridge. It's 9mm in diameter, 17 millimeters long. The bullet typically weighs between 80 and 102 grains. Basically, it's a 9mm parabellum cartridge, slightly shortened.
All right, so a 380 is a lot like a 9mm.
No. It's
Okay. In the terms of the size of the ammunition, no?
No.
Okay. Well, would you agree with me that Glock makes pistols that fire at least 5 different types of ammunition: 9mm, 10mm, 357, 380, and 45?
Yes, and 40 Smith & Wesson.
And what's the other one?
40 Smith & Wesson.
40 Smith & Wesson?
Yes, sometimes referred to as 40 Auto. It's the most popular law enforcement cartridge in the United States today.
Well, didn't I ask you about a 40?
Yeah, you said 40 millimeter.
Oh,
That's like this big around.
sorry. All right. 40 what?
40 Smith & Wesson or 40 Auto. 40 caliber. 40
So it's
100
40
centimeters.
caliber. All right. All right. And it's called 40 Smith & Wesson even though it's a Glock?
Smith & Wesson invented the caliber.
All right. All right, so let me just do this one more time and I'll try to get it right. Glock makes semi-automatic pistols in 9mm,
Yes.
10mm,
Yes.
357,
Yes.
380,
Yes.
40 caliber,
Yes.
and 45 caliber.
Yes, and the 45 gap.
And the 45 gap, okay. And in each of those sizes of ammunition, there are different models, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's in the current product line, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Glock has made different models in the past in these different sizes that are still in circulation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you told us yesterday that a Glock has, you referred to the unique curvature of the back strap, right?
Yes, it's distinguishable to our pistol.
Okay. And, because it's got a curve in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And, in fact, Glock has different back straps, right?
Depends on which model you're referring to.
All right, well, let me try to be general, okay? In general, would you agree that Glock makes different back straps for different models?
Well, again, the Gen 3 model does not come with interchangeable back straps. The Gen 4 model does come with 4 interchangeable back straps. However, when you put on the back straps, you don't really lose that curvature. It's maintained. It just becomes thicker in girth. And if you're using the beaver tail back strap, the beaver tail up by the tang becomes more pronounced and obvious.
All right, so when you say interchangeable back straps, that means you can put on and take off different back straps, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So one possibility is what you call a beaver tail back strap,
Yes.
and that's got like a little tail sticking out the back?
Yeah, if you envision a beaver's tail, that's exactly what it looks like.
Okay. And then there's another interchangeable back strap that doesn't have a beaver's tail, right?
They ship, the Gen 4 pistols ship with two back straps with no beaver tail, 2 back straps with a beaver tail.
All right, and you can also order the short frame without any back strap at all, can't you?
Yeah, that'd be a Gen 3 model.
All right. Now, and the specific dimensions of this unique back strap, the specific dimensions, and by that I mean the length, the width, the specific curvature, varies from model to model, right?
The length of the, yes, they would necessarily vary, say a G27 Gen 4, because it's a smaller pistol, the back straps are going to be shorter in length than they would be, say, for a G22 or a G21.
Okay. Well, then, did you determine the length, width, and specific curvature of the back strap that you say you saw in any of those grainy videos and photographs that you talked about yesterday, sir?
No.
Well, there are lots of other companies that make black polymer pistols with curved back straps, right?
There are some, yes.
There's nothing unique about a curved backstrap on a black polymer pistol, is there?
No, I would disagree. I would say on our pistol, again, the configuration of our grip frame is unique in the industry.
Well, that's not what I asked you, sir. What I asked you, sir, is there anything unique about a curved backstrap on a black polymer pistol?
I think he's answered the question.
Could I hear the question again, please?
Is there anything unique about a curved backstrap on a black polymer pistol?
It is commonplace in the industry, yes.
Show your documents, sir. You recognize that as an array of black polymer pistols from different manufacturers.
Well, there are some black
Can you answer
polymer.
that yes or no, sir?
He's asked, does he recognize it?
You can answer it yes or no. If you can't answer it yes or no, you can indicate. But
I
the
can't
question
answer that yes
is,
or
do
no,
you see that
because-
as an array of black polymer?
Because it's not just an array of black polymer pistol. You've got other firearms mixed in there that don't have polymer frames.
Okay. Well, let me say this.
It's an array of pistols.
It's an array of black pistols.
Yes, because it's a black and white photo. If it was in color, not all of them would be black.
Well, you're saying that some of these pistols are a color other than black? Is that what you're telling us?
Yep.
Well, would you agree that this is an array of semi-automatic pistols?
I don't see any revolvers in the photograph, so yes, it is a black and white photo of an array of pistols.
I offer this as an executive.
I object. Could I be seen your...
So I'm showing you the mark as Exhibit 322. Now, would you agree with me that not all of the objects in this exhibit are globs?
Correct.
Would you agree with me that a number of them have curved backstraps?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that some of these objects that are not blocks have curved backstraps?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are these all real guns, sir?
No idea.
You can't tell, right?
Nope.
Your Honor, I'm going to go into a very different area. Is this an okay time to do what we talked about?
We'll take a morning recess at this time. Long ago discussed.
That your opinion changed between December and yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is it that you observed some additional materials or photographs that you had not seen before, which led you to change your opinion, sir?
Well, it was a combination of things.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell the court, please, what was the combination of things that contributed to your changed opinion?
The two principal factors that caused me to change my opinion were, number one, when I first looked at those video stills, I was looking at them on my laptop, which was not the best way to do that, looking at them on a laptop screen. When I came here to the courthouse and met with the prosecutors and met with their IT person, they were able to slow the video down for me, take individual sections of the video, blow them up, shrink them down, so that I was able to look at them much more clearly. And that's what enabled me to form a better opinion, was the fact that just had access to better technology.
What about the still photographs? Did the still
You said,
photographs?
wait a minute, you said there were two principal factors. What was the second?
Well, I guess, Your Honor, the first thing would be is, the reason why I changed is, in the first instance, I was looking at the photos on my laptop, which was, in my opinion, a poor way to do it.
Right.
And then when I came here, having the ability to look at the video stills in a better format, and to have them to be able to stop the video at certain points and back up, in addition to be able to blow the pictures up, if you will, and sharpen the image, was what enabled me to render a better opinion.
And were you relying on the, you referred to video stills, is that what you were looking at yesterday that were put on the monitor, the individual photographs taken from the video?
No, in the first instance, it was pictures on a monitor such as this.
Were they pictures, or were they stills, or I'm trying to find out if it was the stills
I'm sorry,
or the videotape.
stills.
Okay. And when did you get access to those stills from the Commonwealth?
It was only after I came here to meet with the prosecutors. I don't know exactly when that was.
Okay. And accessing those stills on their equipment enabled you to form a different opinion. Is that right?
Yeah, I could just see it better.
You said the blown up sharp image, was that on the video or on a still?
Not on a picture, Your Honor, but on the video. As it was playing in real time, they had the ability to stop it and increase the size, or in some instances actually decrease the size.
So it was the video and not the still, is that what you're telling us?
I didn't see the one-to-one stills until this week.
And you would change your opinion before that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Can I just ask you your opinion that you gave to this jury based on the, in fact, the exhibits, correct?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that when you had an opportunity to look at larger ones, that you were of the opinion that there were other instances where you could identify a Glock? Isn't that true?
Yes, those pictures represent what I felt was the best representations out of the video stills.
Right, but when you look at it in this circumstances, when you only identified the Glock in limited circumstances, is that correct?
Yes.
And these much smaller ones, consistent with what you testified to this jury, correct?
Yes.
And consistent with watching the video from the DVR frame at a time, as you've indicated to the jury as well, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further than that.
Thank you. 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Put all right.